So the 1981-82 season reflected a lot of what we saw in 2021. Numerous upsets in the playoffs, a rebirth of certain teams in a regular season, and an unforeseen finalist against the defending Stanley Cup champion. Just like Montreal and Tampa Bay in 2021 shocked a lot of people, the New York Islanders' opponent in 1982, where they were going for three straight, were of all people, sit down for this, the Vancouver Canucks. Now, the Vancouver Canucks entered the 81-82 season embracing mediocrity. Everybody thought they were going to finish under 500, and that's what they did. They finished the campaign as one of the lower-ranked teams in the western side, or the Campbell side, 30, 33, and 17 for 77 points. There were only plus 4 goals for goal against. They ended up 34 points behind the first place Edmonton Oilers in the Smythe division, who had a 48, 17, and 5 record. Now, Vancouver was very good at home. They had won, I think it was almost 24 games, but on the road they were terrible. Now, Thomas Gradin was a big player for Vancouver that year with 86 points in 76 games. Stan Schmiel had 78 points, including 34 goals. Ivan Bolarev, who came over from California and Chicago, respectively, had 33 goals and 73 points, while Kurt Fraser had 28 goals. Ivan Alinka had 23. Darcy Rhoda had 20. Tiger Williams had 17. And Blair McDonald, limited action, had 18. So you're saying to yourself, the NHL season, what caused all this? Well, here's what happened. Now, the 82 season was the 65th campaign of the NHL. Now, prior to the start of the season, divisions of the league were realigned to reduce travel costs to better reflect their geographic locations. Now, the Patrick division, who had been heretofore being in the Clarence Campbell Conference, switched to the Prince of Wales Conference, while the Norris division went the other way, going from the Wales to the Campbell. This divisional alignment existed until the 94 season, at which point both the divisions and the Conference of the League were renamed to reflect geography. Now, the schedule and playoff format were also altered. Previously, each team played each other 4 times, and the 16-team playoff format had the 4 divisional champions joined by 12 wildcards. For all intents and purposes, the divisions were meaningless. Also, in the under old format, teams were paired the first round based on record, first versus 16, second versus 15, etc., and then repaired in the succeeding round based on record. Again, highest-seeded first-round winner, first lowest-seeded first-round winner, second highest first round, second lowest first round, etc. Now, the new format called for each team in the three 5-team divisions to play their divisional opponents 8 times, which is 32 games, and then the remaining 16 league teams 3 times, making 80 games. In addition, each team in the 6-team division was to play their 5 divisional opponents 7 times each, and the remaining 15 league teams 3 times each, again for 80. As for the playoffs, the top 4 teams in each division qualified, with no more wild cards, the best of 3, while first place playing fourth place, second place playing third place in the divisional semifinals. The 2 winners would meet in the divisional finals. Now, beginning with this season, the Prince of Wales Trophy and the Campbell Bowl were awarded to the Wales and the Campbell, respectively. Now, the New York Islanders led the league with 118 points, second more than second place Edmonton. Now, the Islanders also set a league record by winning 15 consecutive games from January 21st to February 20th, although it was later eclipsed by the Wingman's 17-game streak. Now, the Edmonton Oilers' young superstar Wayne Gretzky broke several records, including a record of 50 goals in 50 games set by Maurice Richard and Mike Bossy by scoring 50 in only 39. He also broke Esposito's record of 76 goals a season with 92. His own assist record of 109, which was set the prior season with 120. And his own point total of 164, which was also set the prior season with 212. Now, he was the first and thus far only player to ever score 200 points in a season. Now, final standings had Montreal first in the Adams with 46, 17, and 17, 109 points. Islanders were first in the Patrick, 118 points, 54, 16, and 10. Minnesota first in the Norris, 37, 23, and 20. Edmonton winning the Smythe division, 48, 17, and 15. Now, the playoff brackets were used in new format. Now, 4 teams from each division will qualify for the playoffs and play the best-of-5 semifinal round, followed by a best-of-7 series to determine who would win the championships. Now, how did Vancouver get to the finals? Well, that is something for the gods to really dissect and understand. They didn't have anything but a European-style kind of non-aggressive team. Now, the 82 playoffs, again, the first round was a best-of-5. Now, I think this really benefited Vancouver. Now, the first round of the 82 playoffs saw the 3 first-place teams, Edmonton, Minnesota, and Montreal, upset by 4th-place teams. A round was featured which is still the greatest comeback in NHL history. The Kings' 6-5 win over Edmonton in Game 3 of their series. After trailing 5-0 after 2 periods, the Kings scored 5 third-period goals, 3 in the last 5:22, the final goal coming with only 5 seconds left in regulation. Los Angeles then scored on a face-off early in overtime, thus completing the miracle on Manchester. Now, the eventual champion New York Islanders nearly capitulated in the first round as well, losing Game 3 and 4 of their first-round playoff series with Pittsburgh after crushing the Pens in the first 2 games. In Game 5, the Islanders scored twice in the last 5 minutes to force overtime, and then won the series on John Tonelli's classic goal, 6:19 in the extra session. This served as a wake-up call for New York, who lost only 2 more games the rest of the way in their match to march to their 3rd straight Stanley Cup. Now, again, their finals opponents were Vancouver, defeating 3 teams beneath them in the standings, Calgary, LA, and Chicago in a much weaker Campbell Conference. Now, just to recap here, ladies and gentlemen, playoff brackets. Montreal lost to Quebec in overtime in the 5th game, which gave them a 3-2 victory after Montreal had won 6-2 in Quebec to extend the series. Again, Dale Hunter's overtime winner after Montreal came back from 2-0. Now, the Boston Bruins, in a hard-fought 4-game series, eventually knocked off Buffalo with a 5-2 win in Game 4. Again, the Islanders won 8-1 and 7-2 in the first 2 games, but Pittsburgh came back in overtime in Game 3, won 5-2 at home in Game 4, only to lose Game 5, 4-3 in overtime. Now, the Rangers outlasted the Flyers despite a 4-1 win against Philadelphia in the opening game in MSG, then won 7-3, 4-3, and 7-5. Now, in the Chicago series, Chicago won the opener in Minnesota 3-2, then a 5-3 win, and Minnesota came back 7-1. Then, of course, Chicago winning 5-2 in Game 4. In the St. Louis-Winnipeg series, where Winnipeg made the playoffs after having the worst NHL season ever, they lost the opener 4-3 in Winnipeg, only to win Game 2 5-2 at home, but then lost 6-3 and 8-2 at the Checker Dome. And again, the Kings winning at 10-8 at home, 10-8 on the road, won 3-2 lost 3-2 in overtime. Then the Kings won 6-5, Edmonton won 3-2 at the Forum, and then the Kings won 7-4 in Edmonton, giving them, playing in Edmonton, ladies and gentlemen, 19 goals in 3 games. Now, Vancouver and Calgary was a sweep, 5-3 Calgary, 2-1 overtime, again in Pacific Coliseum, and 3-1 in Calgary. Now, Bruins against the Nordiques, a very controversial end to the series. Boston had won 6-5 in overtime in Game 6, after Quebec had won 4-3 at the Boston Garden. Actually, they lost the 2 first games to Boston in the series, but again, made the big comeback to win 3 straight, and then the final game. Now, Islanders and Rangers, another great series. Rangers had won 4-2 in Game 5, and then but the Islanders won 5-3 in Madison Square Garden to take the series. Now, St. Louis, Chicago. Chicago won very tight games here. They won 5-4 in St. Louis, 6-5 at home and 7-4, and it won the crucial Game 6, 2-0 over St. Louis. And the LA King Vancouver series in a very big upset. Vancouver won the opener at Pacific Coliseum, won 4-3 in overtime in LA, 5-4 in LA the second game, and then 5-2 at home. Now, the Quebec and the Islanders, it was all Islanders won 4-1, 5-2, 5-4 in overtime, and 4-2. Now, the Campbell Conference Finals were huge because after Vancouver won 2-1 in overtime, they were getting, in the eyes of Roger Nielsen, 2 much penalties in Game 2 contests Nielsen put up a white flag in protest, and he and several other players were kicked out of the game. Now, the towel power tradition still exists in many NHL teams in 2021. After the Game 2 loss, it was Vancouver 4-3 and 5-3 at Pacific Coliseum, then 6-2 to get them in the final. But in the big Stanley Cup final, it was all Islanders, 6-5 in overtime, 6-4, 3-0, 3-1. So this was the year that a lot of people thought that Billy Smith made the big difference, and I tell you why. He went 15-3 in the playoffs with a 90% save percentage. But again, a very, very interesting season, because you had the rise of Gretzky, you had kind of the domination of the Islanders dynasty, another choke by the Montreal Canadiens after losing to Minnesota and Edmonton, and the next year with Buffalo, did a whole reshift. Lafleur eventually left. Now, the MVP of the playoffs should have been Brian Trottier, but Bossy got it. Trottier had 29 points in the postseason, had some really, really big games, but Bossy had a little bit more goal scoring punch. 17 goals in the playoffs for Bossy, so that's why he got it. But again, Trottier did a big 23 assists. Denny Potvin had a good series, 21 points, and Grudin was the big scorer for Vancouver with 19 points. Actually, what was weird here, ladies and gentlemen, is Peter Stastny, the most underrated of the playoffs, 18 points in 12 games. Easily would have been one to Conn Smythe if he would have made it to the finals, but Quebec had no answer for the Islanders that year, ladies and gentlemen. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you like what we're doing here with our vintage podcast, let us know. With a like, comment, or subscribe. Don't forget Montreal in 2021. That's nothing new. Florida Panthers, various other second-level teams have made it. And one guy said today that Montreal was built for the playoffs. You must be built for the playoffs. And those Nordic teams of the 1980s, before they started to fade, were built for the playoffs, ladies and gentlemen. You don't beat the Montreal Canadiens in their own rink twice in a deciding game unless you're built for the playoffs. Thanks for listening. Bye.